Welcome back to Kevin Pollak's Chat Show. I am, as always, Chat Show. How are you? What's your name? What's your problem? Write to us, please. KPCSfanmail at gmail.com. KPCS, as in Kevin Pollak's Chat Show. Fanmail at gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. You know, a lot of times I threaten to read your emails and then don't. So don't be discouraged. It's because I'm an idiot and I don't allow for enough time. But I do read them. And you're being judged harshly, apparently, because you have to pass a muster, as it were. Not even sure what it means. For the longest time, it was past mustard, and that really didn't make any sense. We're coming to you today from the Earwolf Studios in beautiful, what we call this, Hollywood? Yes. I got a very confused thumbs up. Yeah, I guess so. Was really what the face said.
Yeah.
I'm just going to be that asshole. We've met 17 times.
Sam
was what I was going to say. I didn't want to be incorrect. I should have guessed. Sam, how are you today?
I'm good. How have you been?
Super fantastic. And I appreciate your efforts, and I wanted to say thank you in front of everyone.
Oh, that's very nice of you.
Now, please be quiet. Sam is lovely and wonderful, and he makes this show possible. Corey Levin will be on post. The rest of the crew, nowhere near me. Jamie and Sammy, not invited. Coming to you from the Earwolf Studios instead of the West Side Comedy Theater where we do the show often. If you're ever in the West Side and looking for funny, look up westsidecomedy.com for their menu of items. In the meantime, Earwolf is offering a bizarre amount of podcasts. All you'll need. So go to earwolf.com and check that out. You may be wondering, if you're new to the show, hey, what's with recent guests? Why should I bother? All right, fine. How about Billy Bob Thornton, Christopher Guest, Lauren Graham, Brian Cranston, J.K. Simmons, Craig Ferguson, Michaela Watkins is the only way I know how to say her name. Upcoming Jenna Fisher, Mary Lynn Reitzcub, Paul Rudd, Bob Saget, and October 29th, the long-awaited Ricky Gervais. Annoyingly excited about that. Let's get to today's show. Is that what you're thinking? All right, let's do it. Today's guest, I only recently met, which we'll talk about. And, well, let's just get to it. Tommy Dewey, are you writing your name on the...
I've never written my name on the Earwolf table, and I wanted to make sure it happened before
You've been here before?
I've been here once before for the Sklar brothers.
Sure. And how did you come to know them?
Was there a connection? It might have been a Michaela thing also.
Yeah.
I meet all the fancy people through Michaela.
As it should be.
Yeah.
Our dear friend Michaela Watkins. I don't know why I have to say her name like a baseball announcer. Michaela Watkins, and then I'll use one of Jamie's jokes. Much like Doug Benson before a show, is high and outside. That's our head writer and my better half. If you're available Labor Day, you'll meet Jamie as well.
Oh, good.
So I have spent a little time in the Birmingham, Alabama.
Have you?
Yeah, you know the Stardome.
It's a big city.
Are you familiar with the Stardome?
I've been to the Stardome. We used to sneak in there with it was a good date spot.
That's a good way to impress a date.
I got it in my head that I wanted to be the guy that did that took people on weird dates, and so I discovered the Stardome, which is a little outside of town.
Sure.
And you drive down there and you use your fake ID and you get in and see some good comedy. I mean, everybody comes through there.
Do you remember any of the folks you saw? And then we're absolutely going to talk about I'm the guy who decided to have weird dates.
That could be interpreted in many ways.
Yeah, we're going to
go. I think I saw John Panette there.
Sure.
And I won't remember anybody else. But you have to buy it's a stressful date because you have to keep buying drinks and keep showing your ID because you know how those things are. There's a minimum. So
of course there is. Why would you have to keep showing your ID? Different waiters?
Just because I looked, 15.
Right, but once they take it, they just kept questioning themselves. I better ask this guy again.
Ask him again. When the lights came up, he was looking pretty fresh.
Yeah. Because you're staring, well, you've got almost a year because you just turned the 39, but you're staring down the barrel of 40.
Oh, man. I need some counseling on that,
And
too.
you look 27.
Kevin's already got me into a Tesla. He's got me moving to Mar Vista.
That's right.
And now I need some counseling.
I'm going to help
the midlife crisis that's coming my way.
I'm going to help you with 40.
Okay.
I really am.
I need it because it's a dark thing approaching.
Oh, do I have good news for you?
Do you?
I really do.
I need it bad. I really do.
But first, weird dates. So you decide, I'm going to be the guy who. By weird, do you mean creative?
Yeah, I mean creative. Weird. Weird in 2017 parlance means like odd in a sexual sense.
And as we just pointed out, this is over 20 years ago.
Yes. The thing to do in Alabama were go to a dead-end bonfire, like at a development.
Keep talking.
And
I'm going to need more about that.
Drink beer and make out in the back of a pickup truck.
Dead-end?
Like a
street?
Like a subdivision that was being built, right? But no one was occupying the homes. Just the bones of the homes were up, and you'd go.
Did you use any of the bones to make the bonfire?
I'm sure. Uh-huh. Yeah. Sorry to whatever family had to cover that.
Would the bonfire take place in the backyard of these unfinished homes?
No, it was kind of like in the middle of the street. It'd be a cul-de-sac.
What are the chances you'll get caught doing it that way?
You get caught every time. Sure. Every single time. It's part of the fun. There's a couple of fist fights. It sounds like such a cliche, but this is what we did. Another option was during the day, if you wanted to entertain a female friend, you'd take your truck and go off-roading. You go mudding, as they'd say.
Wow.
Almost always get stuck, but part of the fun was then you call your buddy Richard, and he comes with the tow rope and tows you out, and everybody has a laugh. So I got
Richard makes the date more fun?
Yeah, with his tow rope. He's a funny guy, still is. Shout out to Richard Kerr in Birmingham, Alabama.
And
Consolidated Pipe is his company.
Wow. Not only his company, but that's his closer as well.
It is.
What's your name? Consolidated Pipe.
I think that's a good thing. In any case, I was like, I feel like I'm running out of options. You can only go to so many movies or whatever. So I discovered the Stardome, where it sounds like you've been.
I should have worn my blue face. I forgot you had a blue face.
Oh, do you?
We never see the blue face, do we?
No,
I
it's
never
rare.
see it. We don't need to bore anyone with what we're talking about.
It would
it's
be
too
obnoxious.
Yeah, very.
Yeah. I almost went there, and then I'm bailing on that.
Let them figure out what blue face means. Good luck. So you got the rope tow, you got the bonfire in the middle of an unfinished cul-de-sac.
The dead end, we'd call it. You going to the dead end?
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I had this conversation.
And it moved, but you knew where the dead end was at any given season.
This is over 20 years ago. The cell phone was not around. So I have to ask, how did we know where to meet our friends before the cell phone?
This is good. I think you and Michaela talked about this.
Okay.
And I got me thinking, because it seems like an impossibility now.
Yeah.
I think we'd be leaving school on Friday, and you just kind of
you wouldn't map out the weekend?
To it. No, you just be like, hey, tonight, let's go to the... I'm going to get more and more country as this interview. You're taking me back.
I'm trying to get you.
I'm going to be unintelligible by the end and fired from all current work.
Sure. Yeah, that's why 40 is not a problem. It's this country thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we'd say, I'll see you there whenever, and you just kind of come and go.
And then Noah had made plans for Saturday.
No, but you'd make those then.
Friday night,
I think.
When you're at the thing.
And usually you'd play some kind of sport so you could kind of re-rack the plan for the night on Saturday.
Uh-huh.
You'd meet.
Are you going to go to the pit?
Yeah, or whose parents are out of town.
Sure.
Friday night was kind of the outside bonfire. Saturday we moved into an unoccupied parents' home.
You went indoors.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, because the APB is already out.
Yeah.
On the outdoor activity. Holy crap. So should I jump ahead and help you with 40 now?
I'll take any advice whenever you want to give it.
Okay.
It's more the anticipation. I just kind of want it to happen, break the seal, and let's get on with it. But
so we have an unfair advantage over the ladies because not only are men allowed to age gracefully or otherwise,
right?
Society prefers an older version of you. Your idea of what was your 30s is nowhere near as fantastic of what is going to take place in your 40s in terms of work and life. And I'm not trying to make it this easy for you. It's a bizarre, and I'm saying this as a near average attractive fella.
Oh, come on.
Or below. Whereas, I joke in my stand-up act that one of the things I liked about J.J. Abrams' relaunch of the Star Wars franchise with his movies that I got to see Han Solo again. Still a scoundrel at 68. So, there are a goodly amount of very intelligent, attractive women who, if you ask them about Harrison Ford, would say, I'd absolutely do him. What do you mean? And these women could be from 25 to...
Yeah, that part of it is totally unfair, but I'll take it. I'll take whatever.
Yeah. So when you're in your 20s, and you're about to turn 30, that doesn't seem quite as traumatic. But the truth is, in your 20s, you're not even allowed to have a past. Because in my opinion, when you're in your 20s and you say, you know, I remember, everyone else is going to say,
shut up.
No one cares.
Yeah. I felt very uninteresting and not allowed to talk in my 20s, so I was fine to leave those behind.
And then you came into your own in your 30s.
Yeah, a little bit.
Started to get work, started to get proper representation.
Yeah, exactly. And the work does, I feel the work getting interesting, more and more interesting. So that is what I'm hanging on to. So I'm glad to hear that sort of confirmed.
And, and the other aspect is you'll do better as a pretty person as you get older. I promise you.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's a underlying competitiveness and annoyance with a younger pretty person as compared to an older pretty person, because now you start to get credit for being intelligent.
Right.
Yeah.
Finally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's truly, though. So keep those in mind.
Okay. I feel much better already.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
It's going to settle in.
Now, we'll check in a day before the birthday.
And then here's the other great news. When I turned 50, I thought, why was I bemoaning my 40s? Why was I wasting any time in the 40s saying, fuck, I'm in my 40s?
Yeah. And I don't want to be that guy. I feel myself sort of turning into that person. I don't want to be that guy. I want to enjoy it.
Yeah. I'm now, you won't believe this, staring down the barrel of 60.
I actually don't believe that.
In about a month. No, 2 months. Really? 2 months, yeah. And so, because I've been feeding off a considerably younger woman like a vampire for 10 years.
It's working.
It is.
If you're sitting where I'm sitting, folks.
And most people have.
He's a robust.
But the point being, this number would otherwise be daunting if I hadn't already learned about the transition from 40 to 50. And then in my 50s, looking back at my 40s going, what the fuck was my problem?
Yeah, I'm not gonna.
And so now, and also 60 is the new 50 and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So now I'm feeling like I'm getting more interesting work.
Yeah.
As well, which for a character actor is a whole other thing. But based on the experiences I had about, again, the aging thing, it is unfortunately all those cliches of how you feel. So take care of yourself physically and that stuff mentally, and then no one fucking cares but you.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, that's the weird thing. Get out of your own way.
I have relaxed a little bit. There's something to be said. Like, you're on this way. I think, I don't know if you were like this. For 20s, even to early 30s, I was like, I might need to bail on this at some point and be a lawyer. And now I'm finally like, no, I'm just doing this. And I'm like, I'm on this road now for the long haul.
That was a recent?
And I'm not that
acquisition?
No, but I mean, like
10 years ago.
But I keep getting more and more sort of settled into it. Like, this is my identity and this is what I do. Whereas, like, I think 10 years ago, at a certain point, I was like, I get paranoid easily. I was like, I might need to bail on this. Fuck, Sure. I had a slow 6 months and thought, oh man, time for law school. But thankfully, I'm too stubborn, so I didn't have it.
Good.
Yeah.
You said you get paranoid on occasion?
I'm a worst case scenario kind of thing. I think that's also, I don't know, goes to this, getting older.
Expect the worst and then you won't be disappointed?
Yeah, probably, which I'm trying to get rid of a little bit because that's no way to live. I get in and out, come in and out. If I'm working on something cool or whatever, I'm the happiest guy in the world. And then if I have too much time on my hands, everything spins off into infinity.
Well, I have something in the research here that says you also subscribe to a mantra of mine, which is if you're not creating, you're waiting.
I think that's...
You turned to your writing talents in 2010 anyways, according to the interwebs, and started creating. And I promise you that way leads to nirvana.
That has evened me out.
Don't wait for the fucking phone to ring.
Yeah.
Before we jump ahead, though, I want to hear about from Alabama to Princeton.
Yes.
So was that by design? You applied to a bunch of schools?
No, I just applied to Princeton like a maniac. I was very competitive. I became interested in everybody says this, but after 10 years after graduating, I'm like, I'd like to do that again and actually do it not because I want to win, but because I'm interested in what people are teaching me. But I was like, I was just so competitive in high school. I was like, I've got to get out of here. I got to go to the best school. I've got to, graduate at the top of the class, whatever. So I had a guy who was kind of a role model a couple years ahead of me, a guy named Patrick Sweeney, I haven't seen him in a while. Hello, Patrick. And he was at Princeton, and so I went and visited, and I thought, oh my God, this place is amazing. All the ivy, like literally, there's literally ivy all over the Ivy League, and visited a couple other places, but thought that felt, because it wasn't urban, it felt like an easier transition. It's outside of New York City. It's still accessible, and
it's in the New Jersey.
It's in the Jersey. And I don't know, something just clicked. I like they don't have a medical school, business school, stuff like that. It seemed to focus on undergraduates, and went not really knowing what to. Luckily, got in, and then went not knowing what to expect, but ended up being great. I the first semester I was like, I don't know, like I haven't quite found my people. Like I'm not quite fitting in. Should I transfer to UT Austin and go to like proper football games? And there was a second there where I was like, I was really feeling fish out of water. I still had long eyes, say 9 and fine. So
sure.
And
did you play the sports? You must have played the sports in high school.
I played the sports in high school and was on the track team for a hot second at Princeton, and trying to get ready for the season I had a stress fracture in my foot.
Yes, you did.
Auditioned for a comedy group, started drinking beer and
that was that.
Flirting with women, and there was no more track.
Let's see, I could run by myself until I throw up, or
right,
drink beer, improvise, and hit on chicks.
Exactly. So
tough call.
It was a leap, and it felt a little weird for a second, but I got a lot out of it.
And where in that do you run off to London, England? 02?
That's after. So graduate, pound the pavement for a little while, do some stuff, writes, the writing goes all the way back to that, like writing little weird avant-garde two-man shows with a guy named Greg Bratman that I was putting up in the city and stuff like that.
A lot of shout-outs today.
These people deserve them.
Okay.
I'll stop.
Where's Greg now? No, I like him.
Greg now, I believe, is on the staff of Angie Tribeca for their 4th season. So
Angie Tribeca.
Angie, isn't that what it's called?
Yeah.
It's a good show.
Angie Tribeca. I appeared on it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did a very funny thing because it's all surreal,
Yeah, it's crazy.
And someone was in an interrogation room situation, and the interrogator was saying something that got close to a line from A Few Good Men. Like, who's going to do it? You. And then the camera pans over from the accused over to me in full dress uniform. And I just shook my head no. And then it went back to the scene.
I was a sucker for that stuff. So
yeah.
Anyway, I don't know what I was doing. So I got
your
a little
friend
work.
Greg is working on that show.
Yeah. And it's great. I mean, I like I said, I'm a sucker for that kind of humor, and I'm glad he's over there. He and I have done a lot of writing over the years since our early days. But long story short, did like 8 episodes of Guiding Light, tiny little role, played a frat guy.
You had moved to New York.
I was in New York at this point, and just wanted to spend 4 months at a conservatory just acting. I'd done it on the side and kind of cobbled together some training at Princeton, but had never really just said every day, all day, not auditioning, just committing to getting better.
And also another country where I don't know anyone.
And also, how much do I love Peter O'Toole and Anthony Hopkins? What are they all about? Like, I want to sort of go to the source. So it was great. It was. I mean, you do some sword fighting and dancing and stuff that you'll never use again. But I got a lot out of it, and then came back feeling a lot more confident about doing it professionally, and sort of have been.
You're incorrect about one thing.
Okay.
And that would be never needing to use the sword fighting again. I, in the research, saw that you had studied. Yeah. We have a couple of sabers here.
Oh, we're going to fight?
And we're going to fence.
Okay.
I guess you don't fence with sabers.
It's been a while.
It's been a while?
Yeah.
Me too, by the way.
I don't know if I remember the moves.
Been a very, very long time.
Have you done like a sword fighty period piece?
No. Very few Jews in those days.
Fair enough.
Yeah, there was one Jew pirate, but he just complained too much.
I'm just happy Jason Reitman let me go back to the 80s. Yes. I have yet to go way back.
Yeah. You have to appear on an episode of Drunk History.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's the Wayback Machine.
I would like to do that very much.
For the most fun. Between Michaela and I, we can hook you. So, yeah, the Guiding Light. Yeah. So that the transition from the Guiding Light to London's great. But then when you're there, do you know anyone?
I do. I had a friend from college who
Let's have another shout out.
was doing Pepper Binkley. Mm-hmm. Love you, Pepper.
That's correct.
Everyone's getting in the show.
Got Pepper Binkley.
Good. That'd be weird if I lied about that one thing. Just made up a friend.
That would be great.
She let me live with her. She was in there. She was doing the 4-year conservatory. She was doing the Big Daddy, which is you're there for the long haul. And she's like, you should come do this for the summer. So, but yeah, she was the only person I knew, and it was great. You know who I got to know there? I will stop like mentioning people, but do you know Marielle Heller? Mari Heller. She did Diary of a Teenage Girl.
I know of her.
Wonderful director, but was also a great actress, and so I met her there, and we became lifelong friends. But yeah, it was great. And London's. I mean, getting to live there and just kind of wander around is great. I'd been there for a week and done all the, annoying touristy stuff. But London is complicated and Byzantine and like.
I'm doing a pretty big hunk now. I just performed this last weekend in the Rochester, New York, about London.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm enamored like crazy, but I do enjoy making fun of it, making fun of all of it, really. Starting with the very charming accent.
Yeah. Well, they come over here and take our jobs, so
they do.
Yeah.
So and they hate when the Yanks do them. Now I'm going to teach you how to do Jason Statham.
You are.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. So he and most Brits can reduce 6 words to 2 syllables.
Oh.
The 6 words are "Do you know what I mean?" which they say as "Joe mean."
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
Joe mean.
Joe mean.
I'm adding too many.
So the man's name, Joe.
Joe mean.
And the word mean. And then you gruff up your voice. Joe mean.
Joe mean.
That's it. You're done.
Oh, wow.
If I put you in that chair, you'd be dead in 30 seconds. Joe mean. Did you say chow mein? Sound like you said chow mein. So, and I start doing this thing where I say, I'm so enamored with this voice, with the accent, that I've decided like all my bad news delivered with the charming British accent. That would lighten the blow.
It does.
Your grandfather's come through surgery? Yeah, brilliant. He's resting comfortably. We'll check on him, let you know. Lovely. Yeah. I should probably mention, as he was coming out of anesthesia, he was inadvertently set on fire. So, not to worry, put him out straight away, we did.
Oh, man.
Yeah, he's a fighter, your granddad.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
We're not grieving it that badly, weirdly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just lighten the... And also, you probably noticed that the British anchors, the news anchors, have a very specific rhythm where all their stories go down at the end.
Oh yeah, they do. Sky News. That's the hallmark of a Sky News report. I came back doing, not having a good accent, but doing the like, is it? You know, like the whatever the way the pitch changes on a question, and my brother, I think, was like, "What the hell are you doing? Why are you talking like that?
Why? Yeah. What part of town did you live in when you were there?
Russell Square.
That's correct.
So kind of in the middle of it all. God, thank God my memory is intact because he's got a dossier.
I do.
Thick as a phone book.
So we'll go back to if you're not creating, you're waiting. So you start with Sons of Tucson. Is that the first one you?
It's the first one that got on the air. I mean,
co-created.
we've been kind of writing. Greg and I have been writing a bunch. I moved out here for something, and he was still in New York, but would come out, and it turns out playwriting doesn't really pay the bills, so we started kind of adapting our voice to half-hour comedy, and that was the first one that sold and jumped through all the hoops. And then we, developed several things since. Did a little writing on Casual with Michaela this year. Mm-hmm. So I try to keep that fire burning. As you know, like you get sucked into a project and it's sort of it falls by the wayside. But the second I rap on something, I try to crack
Have you written alone or always with?
Always someone? With a partner. Well, I should say there's plenty of there's a whole file of things I've written alone. The stuff that seems to go the distance is the stuff I've partnered up on. And funnily enough, I had this conversation at lunch today. I'm like, 40 is approaching. Time to like get a couple of solo projects out there. That's like sort of the next hurdle. There's a couple of personal things I would really like to write.
Yeah.
And because it's so easy, because I'm social, it's like the project I'm doing with a partner is always higher on the depth chart. I'm like, yeah, let's work on that today. Yeah, I'll come over and we'll do it. You know,
It's more fun.
Yeah.
Working alone is the opposite of fun.
Yes.
Unless you go into that place.
You have to go into that place, and it's like it takes me a week to get into it, and if it gets broken up, I have to reset.
Yeah.
And also coming off of a set, which is so social,
Yeah.
and then thinking about locking yourself in your office and doing it. It just
Right.
it's a shortcoming of mine I'd like to overcome. But most of the work, especially the stuff that's sold and moved forward, has been with partners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we're talking.
Now We're Talking is my latest joint.
That was just last year,
Last year.
2016.
Yeah, and
According-
it was, and it's this new. Everyone's in the game now, you know. So Verizon has their network called Go90.
That's right.
And we did it as a series of 10-minute episodes, and we're looking to do proper half hours in the next go round. But it's a matter of like figuring out when and where. But it's fun to work on. I'd like to keep doing it. It's it's two former NFL quarterbacks trying to make it in broadcasting and just bringing all the ego and bluster of their playing days into broadcasting and just falling on their faces. And it's, you know, I mean, you can speak to this. It's all the fun of like this kind of thing, you know, talking on air and trying to not sound like a fool. And
Right.
it all grew out of reading an article about Jerome Bettis, the Steelers' Jerome Bettis, the bus, working with an opera coach to prep for his first broadcasting gig. And the idea of the bus working with some, you know, small man from the Met on sort of learning to talk right. I was like, there's something there, man. The comedy just, you know, the story kind of writes itself.
Yeah.
So it's a fun space to play in. The first season was them going to broadcasting school, like at Syracuse, which has like a broadcasting program. And the second season will hopefully be them out on the road calling the real sort of, you know, C-level gigs,
Right.
Trying to get tape and move up the ranks. So it's been fun to work on.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
A quick side note. When our engineer that I mentioned, Sam,
Yeah.
got up and walked out during his story,
disgusted with
was
us?
that undermining?
I don't know. Sam auditioned for us and didn't quite get there.
Yeah.
He's not mad.
I mean, I can't imagine when he left, he thought we'd be talking about him. So I felt obligated.
yeah.
Right?
No.
Our engineer
It's a just punishment
left the room
for leaving.
But he seemed like a nice guy.
I don't even. Does this interview even exist when he leaves the room?
I think he hit pause on the recording.
Okay, good.
Because he thought, fuck those guys. They're probably going to talk about me. I'll just come back in and hit record again. You know, this might be a good time for me to break away and thank our sponsor.
Do it.
Yeah, you can check your phone. I always give that advice because, you know, who doesn't want to find out where they are in the world in a moment? Although I do have a problem with the phone being, you know, these devices being smarter than us and having too much information available too quickly and the lack of communication now that takes place between people because of them.
I agree. And when it recommends where it thinks you want to drive, and I'm like, did I go to that person's house that often?
Never check your friend's Google search list.
No.
Ever. Yeah. Okay. Let's thank the Littleton Coin Company for being a sponsor on today's program. Here's my question for you, folks. If you inherited an old coin collection or an accumulation of coins and currency that you're not sure what to do with, Littleton Coin is here to help. For over 70 years, Littleton Coin has been helping people just like you sell their coins and currency. As an industry leader, you heard me, in collectible coins and currency, Littleton can pay you more now. Plus, in 2016, the company's president, David Sunman, received the ANA, American Numismatic. You went to Princeton.
If you're a coin collector, you're a numismatist.
Numismatic Association Dealer of the Year Award. And Littleton Coin was honored with the Better Business Bureau Torch Award for marketplace ethics. The point, whether I can pronounce words or not, is that David Sunman, the company's president, is who you want to deal with and talk to about your coin and currency needs. So you know these are people you can trust and rely. on. Whether you're an experienced collector or someone who needs help identifying what you have in your collection, Littleton Coin Company is the place to sell your U.S. coins and currency. The process is incredibly simple. Visit littletoncoin.com/chat show to learn more, or go ahead and call 1-877-857-7850. That number again, something they teach very early in the broadcasting courses that you must take before arriving at Earwolf. That number again, 1-877. I should have stayed for the entire course. I just realized I bailed halfway through the first. That number again, 1-877-857-7850. Littleton Coin, when you need them. We thank them for sponsoring today's show. They didn't write when you need them. I just added that.
Well,
did that feel natural?
You wouldn't want to call them when you don't need them.
No.
That's like a bad 911 call.
Really
Don't
is.
get the coin guy to show up at your house if you don't have coins.
We have a section on the show, and then we're going to talk about your current television gig on The Casual.
Yeah.
We have a segment on the show called Famous Questions.
Oh, dear.
These are not questions that I've pulled from history. These are questions written by famous friends and or coworkers.
Oh, wow. Oh, I did
you.
hear this on Michaela's segment. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So let's start with Michaela's question.
Oh.
Sometimes after a take, a director will decide to move on to the next scene without ever saying anything to the actors. Sometimes you only know you're done with a scene when the crew starts moving cameras around. Mm-hmm. What is something you and this amazing, gorgeous mystery person who wrote this like to say to one another, in particular while the cameras are being dismantled?
We look at each other when this dawns on us that the scene is over and just say, were we wonderful? Mm-hmm. That's correct.
That is correct.
Yes, and we do it every time.
I love that.
Half in jest, all in earnest, by the way. You think, wait a second, I had all kind of ideas for this thing.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you know that.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
TV, the single camera, they got to move at a fairly good clip.
Yeah.
Okay, this next question comes to you from our soon-to-be employer.
Oh, very nice.
Mr. Jason Reitman, who asks...
By the way, Kevin and I are doing a movie called The Front Runner
Yeah.
with Jason Reitman. We can plug it here. We're going to be in Atlanta having all kind of good times together.
You know what? I'm not afraid to talk about it, to be honest with you.
Don't be afraid.
No. Let's see if I can get to Jason's question. Because here we are. Nope. Where the fuck is it? Oh, there it is. What's more difficult?
Jason asks
Tommy.
good fucking questions, too. This is going to be hard. God. All right.
Always being the most handsome man in the room or always being the most undereducated man in the room?
Thank you, Jason.
Sorry, I was kidding. He wrote, or being the most overeducated man in the room. So he's acknowledging that you're smart and pretty. You know, we can joke all we want, but I don't know if Michaela chose to tell you this, but when I first was talking to her, I said, I tried to watch your show, and that guy that plays your brother is too pretty, and now I'm supposed to think he's funny, and I
She
literally,
told me.
yeah, and I literally lost interest. So if you're a guy like me who's devoted his life to what's funny,
Yeah.
pretty people need not apply.
Right.
And then every now and then a John Hamm comes along, and you're like, you know, the old saying, God really gives with two hands, right? You're either pretty or smart, and then you got to add in funny. So it is not a burden, but it is an uphill climb. And I've read a lot of stuff about Paul Newman talking about not being taken seriously because he was just considered a pretty guy. Mm-hmm. What it took for him to break through on getting a Broadway part. And all of that stuff. So we haven't talked in the past too much about this. So if you're willing, I mean, I know it's difficult because the first thing is you have to acknowledge the premise.
Yeah, well, it's really interesting though. I'll go there with you because I think if you knew how like neurotic and tortured I was, you wouldn't. It would reframe the whole thing.
It makes you more empathetic.
And grew up kind of goofy, you know.
Perfect.
And so sense of humor came somewhere. If I have become a handsome guy or whatever, I wasn't there paying attention to that process, and so I'm sort of locked in at 8th grade me who was looking to land the joke in class and do all that stuff, big buck teeth and a terrible bowl cut. So I'm sort of frozen there. So while I totally acknowledge what you're saying, it's part of me that doesn't quite get it. I think what you want is just people to sort of sync up with your neuroses and at least give you a shot to explore them, which I do get to do on our show, and that's credit to Jason, being like, how about this? You grow a terrible beard that really looks awful, and let me dye your hair, then you can do this part and do all the weird, let your weirdness fly. And so casual has been a boon in that way. But yeah, I mean, you can probably speak more about it than I can. It is like we said, the work gets more interesting. As you sort of get older and the crow's feet sort of deepen and all that stuff, I mean, I find that happening. I feel very lucky now because, there's a lot of sort of playing douchebags named Todd or Trip.
We've all got our pigeonhole that's waiting for us.
Yeah.
And no one wants to hear a working actor bemoan.
Yeah, and I'm not bitching, so.
No, not at all. That's why I want to qualify it with I've, A, forced this out of you.
Yeah.
And B, appreciate you being forthcoming about your particular road, which is all this show is really about.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah, it's interesting territory. Any kind of typecasting, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And
no one's self-aware enough. Although Bill Maher did have one of my favorite joke about this is 30 years ago. I qualify it by saying perhaps this topic was a bit less. No one worried about political correctness 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So he said, here in LA, if a guy is really super good looking, you just immediately assume he's gay. and it is a phenomenon. And I have to wonder if at some point a really good looking guy looks in the mirror and says, well, I'm not going to waste this on a chick. Yeah. So
I should say this too.
Sure.
I will see, because I have all kind of self-image problems.
Yeah.
I will see someone who I perceive as a stud doing comedy or something, and I get annoyed. Yeah. I mean, I have the reaction too. So I mean, if I get it, I get what you're talking about. I'll see it and be like, "Why'd you pick him to do that?"
Right. Yeah.
And I don't want to feel like that, but I mean, I don't know if you're like this. It's hard to watch. It's hard to watch TV because of all those ideas you have about what kind of work people should get to do or whatever. And that sucks, Like, it takes me a second to come around to some shows. I would never name names, but I think, I don't know if I want to watch that show. Why is that person in it?
Yes.
What a crappy thing for me to sort of preload onto that show when I don't.
Yeah, we know too much, and also we've come up in a way in a business that has put certain restrictions on our alleged capability by deciding for us what we are allowed to do.
Right.
When you're not creating. So when you're waiting and the things come in or you audition or whatnot, then others get to decide. And then, it builds up this sort of, you don't mean to be reflective in a negative way regarding someone else, but it creates that in us.
Yeah, and it's only when I'm being really honest with myself that I'll just say, no, I don't know if I'd like that show, and then I'm like, why am I?
Yeah.
Well, everyone seems to think it's really good.
Right.
Like, what is my resistance to watching? And if I'm really honest, I'm like, I'm probably just kind of jealous or something.
Yeah. I had to acknowledge an actor who was younger than me by maybe 10 years at least, but very similar in the character actor world, who came up in a group behind me, chronologically, and every now and then a character actor gets to become a movie star. When it happens to someone my age or a little older, like in the case of J.K. Simmons, then also in the Jason Reitman world and joining us for the movie Frontrunner, then you're just super excited and it's amazing.
Yeah.
But for a guy in his like mid-30s who's a character actor who's just trying to get work as a character actor, who's suddenly allowed to be a movie star, you can't help but be resentful.
Yeah.
And it took me quite a while for me to watch anything the guy was in, which is the most weird, fucked up mentality that I don't know anyone can appreciate unless they've lived through it.
No, but you say, well, I can't watch that because it'd be too painful. But if you can watch it and they're great, and you get to the other side, you realize what the weight you were carrying around about it. You think, oh, I mean, I don't know if you had that experience with this guy, but I stopped and I thought, damn, well, he's really good, and I wouldn't be able to do what he's doing.
And well, I also
and it's
know
so freeing.
Yeah,
you know,
I know this guy's good.
Yeah,
I think it's pure jealousy and nothing else.
Yeah.
It's not even competitiveness.
Yeah.
It's just jealousy.
yeah.
And by the way, I'm working plenty. There's no reason to be jealous. It's truly ridiculous, which is why I love to make fun of myself. All right, let's talk about the front runner. So we met, I guess, officially at this table read only a couple of weeks ago at the home of the film's director, Jason Reitman, former guest of this show. Had you Casual is the only time you'd worked with him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does 2 a year, so he and I have shot a cumulative 3 hours of stuff together. So it feels like I've done like one Jason Reitman movie at this point.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've known him a while, and we hadn't worked together ever.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. So I was pretty. No, I shouldn't say you haven't worked together because he does those wonderful live reads.
Yeah, and I'd done one of those.
Yeah, and I love when he invites me to participate in those, and I've actually done like 6 or 7 of them, a lot of them, and they're really what he does, folks listening. It takes a script from either famous or beloved film, and invites a bunch of famous actors to varying degrees. To do a live stage read where the scripts are on, what do you call those, music?
Oh, yeah, what is a music stand?
Stand, that's it, music stand. Right. And so everyone just sits side by side across the stage, and you're reading the script. So sometimes, most of the time, the films are super iconic, and the audience is almost saying the dialogue along with you.
And sometimes he'll do like an all-female Stand By Me or something. I don't know if that's what he did, but he'll mess with the casting in a cool way.
Oh, always messing with the casting, except for when I did True Romance.
Oh, yeah.
And he got Christian Slater.
That was great, yeah.
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 And Patricia Arquette. And she walked out in the costume.
Oh, no way.
Yes.
Wow.
And people lost their fucking minds.
Oh, that's great. I did Thank You for Smoking, which is his movie that he kind of came back to and revisited years later. And I just finished the O.J. Simpson thing with Courtney B. Vance.
Oh, wow.
Who then comes in and sits down next to me to read. I don't know if he read J.K.'s part or something. I mean, and so it was just an incredible night. I mean, the whole thing, the audience was really into it. They're great events. Jason has surrounded himself with this really eclectic creative community that, you go to his house like at a table read or something like that, and you hang out for 4 hours and, or
movie night or whatever it is. Yeah, he's doing it right.
He's doing so right. I can't even get myself together to make a stew on Sunday night, and Jason has 20 people over to see a cool movie and talk about it. I mean,
Yeah, I'll send you a recipe.
Yeah. Thank you.
What?
Stew only, please.
Yeah. That's all you're going to
gruel.
get. It's the only recipe I have. So the question about Frontrunner was, it started with the table read, and I'm assuming Michaela had already shared with you prior to that or after that?
Prior to that.
Oh, okay.
And then I didn't know you were going to do the table read, and I was like, oh, here
we go.
Here's
the guy
Kevin
that doesn't
Pollak,
like
who's
me.
predisposed to not like me, and which I hate it because I'm a big fan of yours. So I was like, I've got like 3 hours to win Kevin over.
And it took about 3 minutes. Well, then I'll just ask, since you brought it up, another question we have on the show regularly is called Ask Kevin, where we turn the tables for one question only.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so you can ask from any walk of life or having nothing to do with me at all.
I do have a question, and it's this cheating. It's kind of a two-parter because did you start in stand-up?
I did.
And when did that transition take place? Because it's something I don't do stand-up. It's something I'm very interested. And how did that manifest itself? What was that moving into the serious stuff? What was the first thing, and then what did that feel like?
So is it stand-up to acting, or is it
stand-up to acting? And I don't know when it happened for you, but was that?
Well, the dramatic acting was never part of the plan, ever.
Right? And that's what's interesting because you're a very good dramatic actor. That is a huge leap from stand-up to dramatic actor. Stand-ups usually get a shot to do a silly movie or something.
And most stand-ups aren't wonderful actors because. Although I never went to an acting class, not proud of it, just happens to be true.
Yeah.
The basis of it appears to be learning to listen in order to be present, which a comedian never does. We listen to the audience because we feed off their energy, but it's not a conversation. And in fact, if they do talk, it's a no-no. So we pounce on them and destroy their reason to live.
Right.
So there's no listening.
Yeah.
And so you can be present when you're doing stand-up, but almost the majority of what you're doing in stand-up, you've already done. So it's a reenactment. It's not. It'd be like take 7 when doing a scene.
Right. Your performance up there is not affected by the performance of another human being.
That's right.
3 feet from you.
And also, it is a performance as opposed to. I mean, some of the more contemporary acts would have more of a conversation with an audience, but it's a performance, and it's not as false as performing on a sitcom necessarily.
Right.
But it's not a form of acting. But because I did impersonations always, I think that's where I actually subconsciously learned or taught myself without realizing it, line readings and head-to-toe physical possession
That's cool. Yeah.
of a character.
I've never thought of it like that.
So when I did and do I'll just say Christopher Walken. The reason I'm so annoyed by famous people who are known for doing Christopher Walken, and they do them in my eyes poorly, is because it's just the musical rhythm of his voice and the ridiculousness of the cadence that they exaggerate to the point of ugh.
Yeah.
Whereas I would rather speak like my dinner with Andre Christopher Walken.
Yeah.
In just a calm conversation. The minutia interests me. So I think without knowing it, I was learning to act. So then by the time I was 25, 26, sort of at the top of the situation in San Francisco stand-up comedy, that's when I think the fantasy became reality of, well, I'll move to L.A. and I'll pursue acting. Again, no formal training, nothing, just...
But it wasn't someone seeing your act and being like, hey, you should come do this movie. It was like you were being proactive about it.
I was being proactive, but then showing up to L.A. thinking that anyone gave a shit.
Right.
But also not knowing, without connecting through acting classes, which is how a lot of people network.
Right.
I was just connecting with stand-up comedians at the Improv, and then occasionally a casting person would come into the Improv, and you would start to hear about auditions. And it took a couple of years, really, to settle in. And then, as you know, you audition for everything and anything.
Yeah.
Right? When you're first starting out. So I auditioned like every other comedian at the time for the role that Dave Coulier did in Full House.
Oh, yeah.
And I would have killed a family member for that part.
Oh, yeah.
6 months later, right?
Yeah.
6 months later, I got Avalon.
Oh, wow.
This Barry Levinson movie, and was instantly considered a dramatic actor. Only because Barry Levinson, and my character's kind of funny and meant to be funny, and Barry Levinson had seen me at the Improv and had called me in for a couple of other movies.
Yeah.
And he wanted, and hates theater acting, and everyone else in the movie is a theater actor, and they wanted to rehearse, and he wouldn't let them. He would force us just to go to dinner and hang out as a family, get to know each other. And so me, the comedian with no formal training, this was perfect first time because I had a director who didn't want me to rehearse.
Yeah.
Just wanted me to be spontaneous. All the things that I knew I could do is all he wanted.
That's cool.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
And I think that was just luck of the draw, which, as you know, you can prepare your ass off, and if there isn't a little bit of luck at certain points,
oh, yeah, come on.
You're just an actor preparing.
Yeah.
But I swear it was it almost became Careful What You Wish. Because by the time I got to 1994, which would be Usual Suspects and Casino, it was fucking over. It was over for me to be Michael Keaton in Night Shift, which was the original plan.
Yeah.
You know, every comedian, you look at that part and you go, well, there you go. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I'll do that. And then when we got to The Whole Nine Yards, the two stars of the film, Bruce Willis and Matthew Perry, were talking to the director about me doing the part of Yanni Gogolak, and the director, who's British, Jonathan Lynn, said, no, I get it, fellas. I get, you know, he's quite diverse. I've seen A Few Good Men. I've seen Usual Suspects. He's very diverse. But, you know, this is a comedy. That's a quote.
That's great.
Yeah, and if I didn't know them, no chance.
Yeah.
No chance. So there's a very long answer.
No, that's actually super interesting. I mean, I'm always interested in how people.
So really, it's luck. It's believing that you have to do it. That's the only thing I pass on.
You kind of had the perfect first job to sort of to turn the ship. You know, like you're like, now I'm pointed in this direction, which is a really good direction. You know, and you can always go back to your stand up, which you do. You know, I mean, that's great. But
also a weird left turn because Dana Carvey and I came out of San Francisco stand-up at the same time.
Yeah, funny.
And because we both did impersonations and characters, people were always pointing their finger in our face saying, you'd be perfect for Saturday Night Live.
Right.
And around that same time that I got Avalon, he got Saturday Night Live, and our careers went in opposing directions. And it makes us both laugh to this day.
Yeah.
So also, that whole thing of thinking you're in control of your path is kind of silly and funny.
Yeah.
And when you decided to take on acting full time, as you said, it took a while for you to even acknowledge, all right, I'm not going to go to law school. What path, whose career, you know, I mentioned Michael Keaton in Night Shift. Was there some lighthouse?
Not that I thought I could do this. It was like a Tom Hanks, though. It was like seeing like Splash, which moves you, but is funny as hell. And he felt as manic as I feel. You know, I don't play those kind of things, but his kind of energy around. I don't know. I just
that's a great one.
You know, I think he gets unfairly labeled as this like everyman quality. I think he's very special, and I just thought,
and he can go dark too,
right? And he feels human in a way I want to be human. I don't know. I just like look to those things as the kind of work I like to do. I mean, obviously, I'm not Tom Hanks, but I still gravitate towards that kind of stuff. You know, the stuff that's funny and dark and everything in between. You know, that's why Casual's been such a gift, because I think you get to play the whole keyboard on a show like that.
Well, let's talk more about that because we just scratched it. So this is an audition originally?
It was, yeah.
And what was that process like? Because these can either be fun or tormenting.
It was fun. I had been on a run of network pilots, like 4 that didn't go, or so, you know, just like where you just get your heart broken, and it's a nice little chunk of change, but you're like, oh my god, and
it's a precipice that's unparalleled,
and you feel really proud of the work. You didn't know was ever going to see it, and I just thought, you know, screw this network junk, because being one of having a 1 in 12 shot of the show that you spent a month making, it just like. So I had said, like, just send me whatever's out. I mean, I will do, you know, I heard Hulu's doing stuff, you know, because we were sort of Hulu 2.0 when they decided to get in the premium game. And script was easily the best thing I read that year, just subtle and dry and funny and emotional. And they said, Reitman's directing. Up in the Air is a top 5 movie for me. I just think it's, you know, almost perfect. And so I was like, you know, got the appointment, and then Jason's really chill. Have you ever auditioned for him? Probably not, but he's.
But I can't imagine it changes from.
Yeah, no. I mean, he's just sort of you know, contemplative as you're doing it, and very thorough on a first audition. Very thorough. Like, let's try it again and do it like that. He's moving the camera while he's in there. I mean, Jason's not a TV guy, so he's just sort of working his process and doesn't really care how they do it in a normal TV audition. So it was just refreshing.
Yeah.
And it's one of those you leave. I was like, if they're okay with whatever type I am, you know, back to the typecasting thing, I did that right. I mean, it just felt in the pocket, you know, and I could tell the creator Xander was digging it, you know, just one of those feelings. And then 2 weeks went by, whatever. And then,
And it's kind of that Tom Hanksy dark thing you were talking about too.
yeah, I just loved everything about it. It was like and you're usually not this lucky, but you're going back to the luck thing. And then I was like, 2 weeks, maybe this isn't happening. And then sure enough, they were like, you're going to go in. Jason wants to do again. He's thorough. Wants to do this mix and match. Come to find out, he thought I was the guy. He was like, "That's the dude." Hulu's like, I don't know. I mean, maybe we need a super famous person. And I don't want to lay that on Hulu, but some executive somewhere.
They all have to do it.
Yeah. And I understand that, actually.
Sure.
But he's like, well, let me just show you. Okay. And then so he has Tara come back, who already had the part. Michaela already cast. And a couple hours of like, going in and out and shooting the scenes that are in the pilot. I mean, we only had one camera, so it doesn't obviously look as sophisticated. We're John Papsadera's office. But like, full things, kind of moving around the room and stuff like that, and it still felt good. Felt like. And Jason Reitman did an amazing thing. He called me the night. They said, "Can you?" I left a message. Said, "Can you call Jason Reitman back?" I thought, "Oh, sure." Call Jason, and he says, "Hey, tomorrow, just learn the lines. We'll figure it out. We'll get what we need to get." What a wonderful gift that is.
He's saying you can't fuck this up.
Yeah, he's just saying don't come in with a bunch of ideas. Don't try to jam a what's the word I'm looking for?
Performance.
Yeah, just like you will be there long enough that we can figure it out.
Right.
Not this audition you have to convince someone in 5 minutes.
Which
that you're
people
the guy.
should know. What you just described, he didn't need is exactly what we're forced to do in every network test. You got one shot.
Exactly.
There'll be no notes.
You need to make some big choices, to sort of stand out of the slush pile. And so anyway, we go and we mess around, and it felt really chill and relaxed. And again, there was another sort of long wait, but I was in the mix for something else. My manager calls, says, I think he's calling. I think I've gotten lucky on this other thing, which went away. I can't even remember the title of what that thing was.
Wow.
And I thought he's calling to tell me that's the pilot I'm doing this year, and here we go back into the cycle. And he called and said, "You're not gonna believe this. You're gonna do casual, and you're gonna do 10 of them. Which is like every actor's dream."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Sure, we'll do 10. We'll do the pilot, then they'll see." And he's like, "No, literally, they just sent me the schedule. You start work in 3 weeks, and you work until August."
Yeah.
So, and then we were off to the races. But it was. And then it's just been really special ever since. It's a real pinch me kind of show. And Michaela, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Just to spend 12 hours a day with her. I mean,
Thoroughbred.
I do 10 seasons of it, so it's great.
And do you go back to work soon, or we've already done?
We don't know, Kevin. So we're
you
waiting.
Need me to call someone?
I do. Call anyone. There's 3 seasons out there, and the 4th, the writers would need to crank up in about a month. So it's coming any minute.
Right.
Yeah, we'll know soon.
That's weird that, although part of show business, that it's just floating and someone hasn't made up their fucking mind yet.
Yes, exactly.
And I hope I just didn't ruin it by swearing at them just now.
No, I don't think so. They need a firm hand.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's yeah. And in a way, I had the similar conversation with Michaela because when we spoke, wasn't too long after finishing season 3. And she was saying, we've already accomplished something that we all set out to do, and we all want this thing to last forever. And it'd be great if it goes more. However, you can't help but have a sense like it's going to be all right.
Yeah, and look, I agree with her insofar as like I feel like we're something that's in the ether and it's evergreen to a certain extent. You'll always be able to. There's 36 episodes of the stuff we worked really hard on that you'll be able to watch it. So if it goes away, that's just how things happen. But I think we'd like to maybe a few more to stick the landing. But I will say this, not to get too sort of go down the hole of like actor-y kind of stuff. There's something to be said, and you probably have this job, maybe it was Avalon, of like just getting to do it all day, every day, how relaxed you get and how you find these little things. And to talk about acting school, I mean, I have some training, but nothing got to where like, you know what? We're on the 12th episode. I'm going to try something weird as hell. No, you're not going to fire me, and oh my God, it worked, So now that's a chop I can put in my back pocket. Like, you know what I mean? Like
if you treat all of these experiences like going to school.
Yeah.
How much can I learn on this gig?
Exactly. And if you've got that part of your brain open the whole time, it becomes, it's got an extra level of fun. But that job was a, casual has been that kind of next level thing for me of like, okay, you know, being relaxed to the point of not being experimental. I'm not going to waste people's time, but you know what I mean? Like you get better at what you do. You make something good, and at the same time, you're getting better for the next thing you're going to make. And it's been cool in that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that is the best attitude I think we can hope for here at the front office. I'm not sure we can ask for more.
Come on, front office.
Are you ready for today's pop quiz?
Ready as I'm going to be.
Okay. Between 5 and 15 points possible for each of these 3 questions.
Oh, my God.
Once the final score is tabulated, it will be posted on our website along with the current standing among the top 100.
I'm very competitive, Kevin. Could I have studied?
Posted on the website along with the current standing among the top 100.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Question number 1. Dave Koechner or Rob Riggle?
Koechner.
That's correct. Question number 2. Carl Weathers or the weather in Charleston?
Oh, Carl Weathers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And last question, Keith?
Yes.
That's right. 3 for 3. All right. You're immediately in the top 100.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Very impressive.
I like Rob Riggle too, by the way.
Yeah. Oh,
I had to vote.
They're both pals and former guests, and Koechner was at the table reading. Is he joining us? Do we know?
I don't know.
God, he was so perfect.
He
for
was
that
so
part.
good. I want to like out anything, but I that's why he got my pick in this because he crushed that role he read in that thing.
Yeah.
He just owned it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The movie's called The Front Runner. It was a best-selling, amazing book, really about not just the fall of Gary Hart, but the fall of anyone running for president having a shred of privacy.
Yeah, it was kind of when the entertainment press and the political press collided, never to be torn asunder again, right? I mean, like they became one and the same in a kind of a gross way that is now its own, it's become its own alien in the current situation.
Yeah. No, the alien has completely taken over.
Yeah.
And we just need to be civil to one another because it's all we have left.
I know, please. Let's just be nice.
All right, so we end each show with a very fun game that I hope you enjoy. It's called the Larry King game.
Okay.
And it goes like this. When Larry had his wonderful show for decades on the CNN, sometimes right before he would go to the phone, he would just opt out and decide to stare down the barrel of the camera and share something about himself that no one, underscored in bold, no one wanted or cared about.
Yeah.
He eventually had a column in USA Today called King's Things, and they were, again, useless, trivial pieces of information or opinions that no one but Larry gives a shit about. Okay. So the 3 things you must do during the game, the Larry King game, you must give me a bad Larry King impression. Takes all the pressure off having to do a good one because I really do want a bad one. Okay. Therefore, there's no way to fuck it up.
Okay.
I'm not interested in you sounding like Larry King.
Okay.
And 2, act out that moment where right before Larry goes to the phone, he decides to share something about himself, not about you. You're Larry. Share something about Larry, completely made up. Mm-hmm. And then go to the phone. And if the name of the city you go to on the phone is funny, it's not going to hurt things.
Okay.
Those are the parameters, and I've stalled as much as I possibly can.
Oh, wow.
So take your time. It's just...
But it's time. This is what happens next. All right. All right, folks. It's time to go. Been thinking a lot about staying cool at night, and I keep a couple of ice packs in the freezer. And the idea of the ice packs is that I use them for energy, to recover from workouts and for injuries. I have started taking them to bed with me, and I might advise you do the same if you do get hot at night. Okay, let's go to Des Moines.
Des Moines for the win. There it is, ladies and Jews. The Larry
So
King Band
bad.
performed once again, and in these troubled heat times of the wane of summer.
Yeah, I got the heat on my brain.
That's right.
Yeah.
Although cooler on the part of town that
In
we
our
live
hood,
in.
it's better, man.
Yeah. I can't thank you enough.
Thank you for having me. I really had a blast.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of yours, fan of the show, so I feel very lucky to have been here.
No, you made us proud, and I can't wait to tell Michaela how wonderfully it went. Because
Okay.
I know she's concerned for both of us.
She'll be very happy.
Well, there's the folk show. There's your guest, your Tommy Dewey. I want to thank Sam, our engineer, who just opted out for a couple of minutes. Otherwise, I think everything went swimmingly. Did you keep the recorder on when you left, or we had a theory that you might have hit pause?
No, it's still going.
Okay.
It's all in there.
Oh, good.
Okay, good, because we did end up talking about you during your
Yeah, go back and listen to that bit. It's special.
Thanks to Corey Levin on post production and all the folks here at Earwolf Studios for welcoming us in with open arms once again. Check, I guess maybe the Twitter, the at KP Chat Show or at Kevin Pollak for upcoming guests and schedules. Are you on the Twitter?
I am, and I need to do better. I'm at Tommy Dewey Says.
Tommy Dewey Says.
So check it out. I'll write you back.
S-E-Z?
No,
Thank goodness.
It's not that sad. Someone grabbed Tommy Dewey, which pissed me off. I wanted to keep it simple. Tommy Dewey, Says.
Okay. That's our show for today, and as always, get out of my face.